What's up, everybody? It's Dave, aka your boy Blue here at Blue Bears Games, and this week I'm bringing you the second of the 4 Dungeons and Dragons Adventure in the Forgotten Realms commanders. This week we're going to do the green, white, and blue commander. The name of the deck out of the box is called Aura of Courage, and it's got Galea, Kindler of Hope. So, before I get started on that though, a couple of things. I'm going to try something new with the video so that it's a little easier to follow and easier to, timestamp. I also have to mention that this is my first video with a new phone. And when I say a new phone, I mean new to me. The old phone I had that I've been using for the last 2 years and 2 months, that was like 6 years old, finally died. And my brother was kind enough, so thank you, Nelly, for giving me your old phone and going out and getting a new one. You didn't have to do that, but it's very helpful. So I'm going to take a little bit to get used to using this phone. It's got some different features and it zooms differently. So if there's a problem with the video, I'll try to fix it up while we're in post-production. But until then, it's just going to be what it is. So let's just get started. We're going to start with the unboxing part, and then we're going to go from there. Love that sound. And we're going to go into the upgrade guide. So, like I said, we're doing Kindler, Galea, Kindler of Hope. So, here's the box. It's not too bad. And then we go and look inside, and of course we get some fun stuff to play with. Here's the life counter, if you will. The insert that doesn't do anything for us. And of course we got the deck. So let me open that up and then we'll get started. There we go. I'm going to split the deck in half because it's just a lot of cards. And then I'll have to learn the zooming as we go. So it looks like I'm in a good position here, so I'll just keep it here for now. So what does Galea do? So again, it's the blue. I'm sorry, I'll start the other way. It's one colorless, a green, a white, and a blue. It's a 4/4 elf knight, legendary. Has vigilance, and I'm not sure you can see that based upon what I can see on my screen, so I'll bring it closer. And it says you may look at the top card of your library at any time, and you may cast aura and equipment spells from the top of your library. And when you cast an equipment spell this way, it gains when the equipment enters the battlefield. You can attach the target creature you control. All right. The secondary commander they gave is Storvold, Frost Giant Uril. It's 4 green, white, and blue. It's a 7/7 giant. Has ward 3, which means that it can't be the target of spells or abilities unless the person who's targeted them. I believe it's your opponent can't. Unless they pay 3. Other creatures you control have ward 3 as well. And then whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, you can choose one or both, which is target creature has base power and toughness 7/7 until end of turn, or target creature has base power, toughness 1/1 until end of turn. So let me get into the rest of the deck, and then we'll go from there. So it starts off, and I remember, I don't like the way that they do it. They don't do all the lands like I do, so we'll get into it the way they do it. So Evolving Wilds has a clay golem, an ebony fly that was in the last precon. I said this last time. If you want to read a card, I'm just going to read them off to you, and then you can pause it wherever you need to if you want to read what it does. And I'll have the deck list in the description so you can see that as well. So Sword of the Hours, Angelic Gift, and you can see where we're going here. Aggress Boon. I actually use this in some decks that I play too. Valorious Stance. Brainstorm. Curse of Verbosity, or Verbosity. An Eel Umbra. Remember the Umbras. Psychic Impetus. Riverwise Augur. Serum Visions. An Abundant Growth. An Acidic Slime. A Fertile Ground. A Canthus Transformation. I've been playing with this on Arena. I don't really like it as much as I thought I would. Nature's Lure, it's a good one. Great for ramp. And I like to see the new picture. Paradise Druid. A Rancor. A Utopia Sprawl. This was the big get in here for commons. I believe Utopia Sprawls are like $4 or $5. I don't know what they are now that they've been in a precon, but they're pretty good. A Wild Growth, a Bant Charm, a Behemoth Sledge, Shielding Plaques. One of the Arcane Signets goes in every commander deck that's a precon now. A Colossus Hammer. I like to put these in a lot of my budget decks as well. Explorer Scope, it helps you get lands into play. Fey Steed is the first rare. I'll let that sit here for a second. Holy Avenger, definitely a D&D name. Mantle of the Ancients. You know, let me leave that there for a second. Robe of Stars, it's a good one. A Valiant Endeavor, Space Shuttle Endeavor. Diviner's Portent. Love this card, actually. What is that? Netheri's Puzzle Ward. Netheri's Puzzle Ward. Winged Boots. I thought we had those already. Artifact. Belt of Giant Strength. That's definitely a D&D card. Song of Inspiration. Definitely for a bard. Where's the classes at? It's got Caddy Bree of Mithril Hall. I believe that's in one of the books. My stepson actually has told me about that one. Ride the Avalanche. Angel of Finality. Another one of the gets, Pure Steel Paladin. This was a pretty pricey card before the precon came out. Realm Cloaked Giant. SRAM, obviously. Winds of Wrath. Imprisoned in the Moon, another good one. Prognostic Sphinx. Greater Good. Heroic Intervention. Verdant Embrace, basically the enchantment aura form of Verdant Force. Or, I'm sorry, Verdant... Was it Verdant Force? No. I forget the name. Cold-Eyed Selkie. Fleecemane Lion. Knight of Autumn. And Argentum Armor. That's a pretty good one in here. Alright, next pile. We start with the Basilisk Collar. Really good, really good. Masterwork of Ingenuity. Moonsliver Spear. And this is a great one. I actually needed these, so I think this is the second one they've put in a precon in the last 2 or 3 sets, so I needed these for my own decks. Sword of the Animist. Canopy Vista. Exotic Orchard, for some reason they put in every single one now. A Fortified Village. Lumbering Falls. Port Town. A Prairie Stream. The only thing that's good about these is that the Plains Island, I love that part about them, but unfortunately, you know, they enter the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or more basic lands. I like them, but not enough. I like to run a lot of non-basics in my own decks. In some of the more budget decks, these are great, so keep that in mind. Sky Cloud Expanse, Sungrass Prairie, a Soul Ring naturally to go with the Arcane Signet. Looks like a new picture for the Swiftfoot Boots, or at least it looks like it's zoomed out. It looks different. Verdian Longbow, the Azorius Chancery, and then there's a matching one for that, I'm sure. A Bant Panorama. Panoramas are really good in Commander. Command Tower, naturally. A Flood Plain. These are the original fetch lands. Now these are called the Poor Man's Fetch Lands. Same thing with the Grasslands. Howlimer Depths. Mistress Factory. I used to run these in my blue-white control deck where it was all Counters Magic, Wrath of Gods, and then Mistress Factories. Path of Ancestry. I remember when this used to be like a $6 card. Seaside Citadel. A Simic Growth Chamber. Terramorphic Expanse. Some Thrivings. The Grove and the Heath and the Isle. And then a Vitu-Ghazi, the City Tree. I've actually made a mention of it in a lot of my budget decks. I've always said that you can add this to a deck, especially, you know, in the green-white token decks, it's a really good one to add. It's a land that lets you do it. And then, of course, the rest of them, you got some islands, some basic Vars, some basic planes. You've got the really thick version of Galea or Galea, however you want to say it, the Kindler of Hope, and then some angel tokens on one side, knight on one side, and then on the back, what do you got on the back? We got some sap tokens. I'm stealing them for my sap building deck. That's a lot of sap tokens. So that's what's inside the box. We're going to go into the upgrade section now. This is where some of the changes are going to be. I'm actually going to make it so that the timestamps make more sense and you can get to them. So we're going to start that new thing right now. Alright, so if I did my job correctly, you won't notice a thing that's changed, but there are some changes that I made. So we're going to start with the lands as your upgrades. So I've said it in the last video, and I'm going to repeat myself. I'm going to reiterate it every single video going forward. We all know that you need to get the dual lands in the matching colors for the deck. I'm going to say you're going to need either OG dual lands, but they're too expensive. You're going to need shock lands, fetch lands, pain lands, battle bond lands, you know, whatever you need to fix the mana base a little bit. Obviously, that's going to be an issue for everybody, so do that. But I'll give you some other lands that you can go and make the changes to so that it'll make the deck run a little more smoothly after you do all that. We have Emiria, the Sky Ruin, so you can get some stuff back from your grave. We got Hall of Heliod's Generosity. It's the white version of Academy Ruins, which I'll mention both of them at the same time. So what they do is you can take the Hall of Generosity, Hall of Heliod Generosity, goes and gets enchantments and puts them on the top of your library from your graveyard, and the Academy Ruins gets artifacts and puts them on top of your library from your graveyard. Now, the suggestions I'm going to give you can go for either. We're going to go in a direction for this where it's going to be a Voltron style deck. You can go in the hexproof auras way, which is you're going to get some creatures in that are hexproof. Her ability really lends itself to help with that. And then you can also go into the equipment side of it where you can do it that way. And every suggestion I give is going to basically be in the form of being a hexproof aura or a hexproof equipment deck. All right. Rogue's Passage, obviously, because you want to be able to get damage through unblocked. Let's see what else we got here. Reliquary Tower, because there are going to be ways you're going to be able to draw a lot of cards in the 3-color combo we have here. Urza Saga, so you can go ahead and, if you have the money, and you can go get some of the ramp cards. You're going to, obviously, for a Soul Ring, for a Mana Crypt, whatever you have. So that's a good addition for any deck at this point. Inventor's Fair helps you gain life, and then later on you can sacrifice it to go get an artifact if you need to. And this last suggestion is the most expensive suggestion outside of a Gaia's Cradle I'll give. I don't suggest going out and buying it, especially for a precon, but you can get a Sarah's Sanctum. It adds a white for every enchantment you own or you control, whatever it is, and it can really ramp up your deck faster than you'd think, especially in a deck like this. So those are a few of the land suggestions on top of the dual land that will mana fix that I'll give you. So the second section I'm going to go over is the ramp section. We're going to do the ramp a little differently. They started the theme here in this deck with the enchantments that are ours that attach to your lands that ramp. So rather than do we're in green, normally I would say go get your spells that go and get lands to put into play, but let's try it a little differently because of her ability to go and be able to play auras from the top of your deck. Why not try and fit that theme with this deck a little bit more? They already started it. Go get things like Find the Path, A Gift of Paradise, what else do they have? Market Festival, New Horizons, or an Overgrowth. You've got the Sheltered Area, or a Verdant Haven, or a Weirding Wood, or a Wolf Willow Haven. Again, they started with what was it? A something growth. What do they call this thing? I forget the name of it. But they started the theory where you're gonna start using enchantments that are auras to attach to your lands, like a Fertile Ground that they have in here, the Abundant Growth, stuff like that. Why not follow that theme, follow up with it? Like the Wild Growth was in here. Continue that theme and just make it so that it's a little different. You don't have to play the same things over and over again. So those are what I would do as far as doing a ramp. And that's just a suggestion. You can do it the same old boring way and, go get nature's lore and cultivate and stuff like that. But, you want to change it up every once in a while. So that's what I would suggest on the ramp section. Now that we're done the ramp section, let's get into the dudes. And when I say dudes, I mean the creatures that are good and go in here. So some of the upgrades that you can do. We're going to have it in 3 sections for the dudes, all right? You're going to have card draw dudes, you're going to have hexproof dudes, and you're going to have utility dudes, all right? So let's start with the card draw guys. So, obviously, not even guy. Let's go. The first one's going to be a girl. Argothian Enchantress. When you play enchantments, draw a card. Eidolon of Blossoms, another one. When you play an enchantment, draw a card. When she comes into play, draw a card. Mesa Enchantress, another female. But, when you play an enchantment, draw a card. I think that was an aura. I can't remember off the top of my head. Satyr Enchanter is another one. What else do we have here? Cetizen Champion. Cetizen Champion, actually. You've got Sithis, Harvest Hand. You got Verdoran Enchantress, another one. You've got Core Spirit Dancer. Well, Core Spirit Dancer, I don't remember if that actually is a ramp or a card draw person. I can't remember off the top of my head. I thought that was the one an aura is attached to it. It gets +2/+2. But maybe there's a card draw on it. But I'll have them up here for you all to see. So there's ways in this color combo to draw a lot of cards. And even though blue's in there, you don't need to use the blue. You can just use the dudes, or actually in this case, the dudettes, to draw cards when you play your auras. Like I said, that's why I said in the ramp section, go a different direction and use the stuff like the wild growth or the overgrowth, stuff like that. So you can draw cards and get more benefit from them, plus you can play it off the top of your library. So that's the card draw section of the dudes. Let's go into the hexproof. I said it earlier, we can make this deck a hexproof aura deck, which basically means it's Voltron. You stick a guy, build him up, make him big, attack in. Especially if it's your commander. If you can find a way to give Galea hexproof, even better. There are ways. I haven't gone into that. That's a whole nother thing. But you can find other ways with hexproof creatures. Things like Carnage Tyrant. That's a great one to add here. You can do a Geist of St. Traffs because you can get 4 flying tokens to help you defend yourself a little bit more when you attack with it. Then you've got Sigarda, Host of Herons. That gives other things hexproof. I believe that also doesn't allow you to sacrifice things, but I can't remember which one it was. I'll have all 3 up here for you guys to take a look, and gals, to take a look at. And that's my suggestions on a hexproof auras type. Remember, you can also not just put auras on there, you can put the equipment stuff on there as well. And when you put the equipment on there, it acts the same way. And the good thing about equipment is when the creature dies for some reason, the equipment just falls off it and stays on the battlefield. So you don't have to worry about losing your auras. Equipment doesn't die like that. For utility, though, you've got stuff like Stoneforged Mystic, which lets you go get equipment. Same thing with a Stonehewer Giant. You can pay 2. I think it's 1 white, 1 of any, tap it and go get an aura card. Attach it to something in play. You've got Shalai, S-H-A-L-A-I, I can't remember how to say the name. The Voice of Plenty. So it gives you and other permanents you control hexproof, and then it can give other things +1/+1 counters, so you can make things bigger. It's a good addition here. What else we got? Danitha, Capuchin, Paragon. So your auras and your equipments cost 1 less to cast. She also has like Burst Strike and Lifelink and Vigilance or something like that, but I'm interested in the reduced cost of your auras and equipment. Halvar, God of the Battle. It's a good one to add into this deck as well. And then we've got other things like Destiny Spinner. Gives all your stuff, I believe it's hexproof or uncounterable. I think it's uncounterable. That's a good one to go with as well. And then you've got, what is it? Heavenly Blade Master. You can put a Heavenly Blade Master in here. And I'll have all that up here so you guys and gals can see what I'm talking about when I say what the utility is for them. Okay, so the next section we're going to go into is spells. I always do it in an order. That's the next one on the list. Spells. We're going to do it in sections of like tutors and defensive spells, and then you've got draw spells. So, especially since we're on blue, and you just got to take advantage of that. All right, so tutors. There are a lot more tutors than you would think in this color combination. More than I thought, anyway. You're not even in black, and you've got more tutors I have written down here than I thought. So you got Eladamri's Call, so you can go get a creature that you need. Most likely a hexproof creature, so you can stick it on the board and start building your Voltron. Enlightened Tutor goes and gets you one of your enchantments or artifacts. So no matter what direction you're going in, if you're going equipment or if you're going in auras, you can choose. You've got a mystical tutor, so you can go get any spell, or actually I think it's just an instant, a blue instant. We'll get into that because some of the blue instants that you're going to have, I think it's a blue instant in sorcery actually. Either way, there's a card draw spell, you can go get it. Idyllic Tutor lets you go get an enchantment. Pretty good. Fabricate lets you go get an artifact. Open the Armory lets you go get, I believe it's an equipment specifically. May even be an aura. I'll have it up here. Solve the Equation lets you go get a instant or sorcery, I believe. And then you got Steel Shaper's Gift lets you go get an equipment card. So those are some of the tutors that these colors allow you to go and get. And I know that 3 colors means you have a lot of tutors, but without black you have less options usually. But in a deck like this, you're only looking for specific anyway, so that's a great thing. Defensively, so here's the good thing about it. So you have wrath effects for board wipes. I would go with board wipes that are specifically like single combat. So you're killing everything but one thing, because for the most part, you're going to have one creature that's going to stick on the board and you're going to attack with it. So you want to kill everything but one on your side. Usually it's going to be your commander, but it depends on the board state. You have targeted removal because you're in white. It's not as good as blacks, but it's definitely some of the best. You got, I believe they had one in here, but if they didn't, you've got things like Swords to Plowshares, spells like that are 1 white. There's 2 white. I believe they just printed one that's 2 to cast. I mean, it gives your opponent something, either a treasure token or something like that, but still good targeted removal. You always need targeted removal, and especially in white because it's exile almost every time. And then here's the good thing about having blue as the 3rd color. You have access to Cyclonic Rift now. So if things are not able to be killed, screw it. Return everything to everybody's hands. Not yours though, because Cyclonic Rift only does it for opponents. And of course, I said it earlier, we're in blue. So you take advantage of the fact that you're in blue and access its draw spells. So you have things like Finale of Revelation. Alright. You can draw cards. If it X is 10, you have no maximum hand size for the rest of the game, and that's a good thing. Blue Sun Zenith, it shuffles itself back in, so that's always a great thing as well. And you draw X cards. Of course, it's 3 blue, but if you're playing all those enchantments or the auras that go on lands that let you choose 2 of any color, shouldn't be that big of a deal. And then you have single draw cantrip spells. It already has Brainstorm in here, but you also have Opt and, Serum Vision, stuff like that. So you want to be able to draw singly. You can use those spells as well. So those are just a few of the suggestions I have for spells. Now we get into the meat and potatoes of the deck. We're going to go into enchantments. Enchantments in blue. Specifically, the blue enchantments are going to be real helpful, but some of the white ones are pretty good too. Green can have a couple in here too. Depends on what you want, but I'm going to focus on a couple of things here. So you have some utility enchantments. You got Ristic Study. I know everybody hates it, especially your opponents, but you know what? It's damn good. Mystic Remora, again, another card draw spell. And I've said it many times before, in Magic, usually the person who has the fuel to keep going is the winner. So you want a lot of card draw, and if you got a Finale of Revelation off, and it was for 10, you don't have to worry about your hand size. You have something like Sigarda's Aid, so you can play your equipment spells and your R spells with Flash, so now they can come into play at any time you want. I tell everybody in white Smothering Tithe, it's actually pretty, it's actually harming to people who are struggling on mana. It'll allow you to get treasure tokens so that you can ramp your own mana up. What else we got here? Sterling Grove. Sterling Grove gives all of your other enchantments. It's not hexproof. It's, what does it give you? It gives them, Shroud. That's the word I'm looking for. Shroud. It gives all your other enchantments Shroud. So then people can't touch your nice fancy auras with target removal. And for the most part, at least in my meta, not a lot of people play mass enchantment removal because they don't want to remove their own. Alright? What else we got here? Something like Mirari's Wake. It gives all your creatures +1/+1. It also makes your mana double. So just think about that. It helps ramp you up a little bit. Enchantress's Presence basically is a, whatchamacallit, what the hell is the name of it? What is it? The Argothian Enchantress on a, not on a stick, because that's on a dude, or in that case, a woman. on a box, I guess. It's a enchantment version of Verduran Enchantress or an Argothian Enchantress. We got Ghostly Prison, Propaganda, and Sphere of Safety for your defensive purposes so that you can't get attacked back. It's always a bonus, especially if you don't have a creature-heavy deck. All right? We've got some things like buffs. So obviously, if you want to go Hexproof 4s, you're going to have things in there like All That Glitters. It makes all the sense in the world to have something like that. If you're going to have more defense, you're going to have something, as far as ours go, something like Darksteel Mutation is a good addition. And here's something cool about Darksteel Mutation. So you put it on your opponent's commander, it gives that creature indestructible and makes it a 0/1. So unless they have a way to either sacrifice it or give it a -1/-1 counter, it's pretty much stuck there for most of the game. So if they can't get rid of their own creature, while it has indestructible, it's just a 0/1 nothing that sits there. So good job, you know what I mean? And then totems. I said earlier, remember totems? Totems are always a good thing. It makes it so that your creature doesn't die. You can sacrifice the enchantment and everything stays. Bear Umbrella is a good one. It had one in here, so just look up which ones you want to do. Gather or MTG Familiar if you have an Android, and go from there. So we're done the enchantment section. Let's just roll into the artifact section. I got a couple of them, not a lot. We're going to start off with two things, like Sensei's Divining Top and Scroll Rack, because it helps to manipulate the top of your library. When you can manipulate the top of your library, it's easier to use the ability to be able to cast off the top of it, right? So her ability just says you may cast art and equipment spells from the top of your library. So if you can manipulate it correctly, why wouldn't you use it that way, right? Other things that you can do. There's a couple of equipment you can use. You've got the swords. Now remember, the swords have to be the right swords. You can't use ones that have protection from the enchantments that you already have on them because they'll fall off. So make sure you look at all the swords that fit the colors that don't hurt you. So if you have the one that is protection from red and black, good. If you don't have a lot of blue R's in here, which you shouldn't because there's not a lot of good ones comparatively, find the ones that are protection from red and blue, from black and blue. Those are the ones you want to look at. All right, and then you want to protect your commander, or you want to doubly protect somebody who, Lightning Greaves is the answer here to protect to give him hexproof. That's how you make him a hexproof aura commander. All right, I had another artifact that I want to add here, but I'm just going to ignore that for now. It doesn't make as much sense as I thought when I first wrote it down. So for now, we're just going to move on. And that moving on is going to be into the planeswalker section. I got 3 written down here that should help you make this deck a little bit better. So the first one is actually a commander from an old precon. Estrid the Masked helps you find your R's and enchantments and be able to get them into play. Ajani, the mentor of heroes. I believe that's the one, if off the top of my head, that gives you 100 life. I also believe it does some other things, but I'm going to have them here so you can see, so it doesn't really matter what my memory is. Damn that MS, right? And the last one is Calyx Destiny's Hand. I'll have all 3 of them up here. You can read them for yourself and see that all 3 of them can fit into this deck, and I couldn't find many at all, if any at all. These were the only 3 I could find off the top of my head after doing the extensive research that would actually improve this deck greatly. Sure, you can put other things in there. I mean, blue... There has the one where, the uncommon ones from War of the Spark, where your opponent can't draw more than 1 card, or, can't search their library, stuff like that. You can do all those, but these are the 3 that would specifically help this deck as the deck is for the commander, all right? So, that's what I've got for the Planeswalker section. Alright, so those are the upgrades that I have all together. Hopefully, I'm going to timestamp everything so you can go through each section individually. Some of the change I made. Again, this is a new phone to me. It's actually doing some weird stuff as I'm doing the video, so if there's some problems with it, let me know. As I'm editing it, I'll probably try to catch them and fix them. If I missed anything, just let me know. It's a longer video than, normal. Actually, it might even be shorter just because I've cut it into pieces so I can work with this new phone. Either way, that is the, what's the name of this stupid thing? Forget the name of it. It's Galea, Kindler of Hope. It's the Aura of Courage, Dungeons & Dragons Commander. with it's the unboxing and the upgrade guide. Hopefully you got something out of it, and if you didn't, you know, oh well. I tried. So do me the favor at this time is when I ask you to please like the video. There's no reason you shouldn't. I put a lot more work into it, and I'm trying to do some new things to make the videos more quality for you guys and girls. Subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already, and I don't know why you wouldn't. Again, things are going to start to improve from here on out. I'm hoping to get some new techniques with this new phone that I couldn't do with the old one because it didn't let me download some stuff. To help edit it more, I'm hoping that I can edit it, you know, the videos better, put some new graphics in and all that good stuff, so we'll see. And share this out to somebody who bought the deck or is thinking about buying the deck, wants an upgrade guide to the deck. You know, I only make suggestions, not all of it's set in stone. You can do whatever you want. I just give a couple suggestions, and maybe that person might not have thought of the things that I'm suggesting. So, either way, that's my time for the week. I want to thank you for watching, and I will see you all next week.